Ever notice how you kind of like really cherish that, the bookshelf you built yourself?
Yeah.
Even more than like a perfect one you got from a store?
You're right.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
We're diving into that today.
Okay.
It's called the IKEA Effect.
The IKEA Effect.
It's like this weird thing where, like, we just love the stuff we make,
Yeah.
even if it's not, perfect.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's this hidden, almost like a bonus reward
Yeah.
for all that sweat and maybe a few tears you shed putting it together.
Totally. So today we're going to unpack the research on why those DIY wins, big or small, just feel so good.
Okay, well, the basis for this really comes down to something called effort justification. Back in 1957, a psychologist named Leon Festinger, he was exploring this idea that the more effort we put into something, the more our minds are going to try to convince us that it was worth it.
Right.
It's like we're avoiding that feeling of, wait, did I just waste a bunch of time?
Oh, yeah. Like, I totally get that. It's like when you wait in some crazy line for, like, the new trendy restaurant.
Right.
And the food's just okay.
Exactly.
But you almost have to, like, convince yourself it was amazing.
Yeah. You got to tell yourself, oh, it was worth the wait, right?
Totally.
But it even goes deeper than that, right? Like we as humans, we crave competence. We want to feel in control of our world.
Right.
So when we accomplish something, whether it's building that bookshelf or mastering a new recipe, it kind of reinforces that belief in our own abilities.
Okay.
And psychologist Albert Bandura called this self-efficacy.
Self-efficacy.
It's that confidence boost that's like, hey, I can actually do this.
Yeah. It's not just about, like, I don't know, making the effort seem worth it. It's like proving something to ourselves.
Right.
Like each little win makes us feel a bit more, I don't know, capable.
Absolutely. It's like adding another brick, right, to the foundation of our self-worth.
Okay.
But, this isn't just some nice theory. Researchers have actually put this to the test.
Oh, yeah. They got creative.
They did.
I mean, building IKEA furniture, that makes sense.
Yeah, well,
given the name.
Right.
But they also had people folding origami, building with Legos, like really putting this to the test.
Oh, yeah. All sorts of things.
Yeah.
And what they found across all these different tasks was that people consistently placed a higher value on the things that they built themselves.
Okay.
Like they were even willing to pay more for their creations compared to identical pre-made ones.
That's so interesting.
It is.
Okay. So get this.
Yeah.
The people in these studies, they valued their, like, amateur creations.
Right.
Almost as highly as expertly made ones.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Like that slightly crooked bookshelf. You might actually think it's as good as, something from a fancy furniture store.
I think it really speaks to how much we want to see value in the things we put our effort into, even if the outcome, isn't perfect.
Yeah. But it makes you wonder, what about when those DIY projects don't go so well?
Right.
Like, what about that, pile of wood and screws in the garage?
Yeah, the unfinished symphonies of,
Exactly.
Well, researchers looked into that too.
Okay.
In some of the experiments, they had people disassemble their creations.
Oh, wow.
Or even stop them, like, right in the middle of the project.
Wow.
And guess what? The IKEA effect went away.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't overvalue the stuff that was, incomplete or that they had taken apart.
So it really comes down to that, feeling of, I did it, I finished it?
Yes, that sense of accomplishment. Like it's a crucial ingredient for the IKEA effect.
So interesting. So it's not just the effort itself.
Yeah.
It's seeing the effort, like, actually turn into something.
Yeah, something we can, like, proudly point to and say, I did that.
Yeah.
It's almost like a reward system for sticking with it and being creative.
I like that.
And what's really interesting is this isn't just for, the hardcore DIYers. Okay.
Yeah.
The research found this effect across the board.
Huh.
Whether you're, a master crafter or just someone who likes to dabble every now and then, that sense of accomplishment just brings a special kind of joy.
It really makes you think about all those little things we create, even if they're not, masterpieces or anything, they still kind of mean something to us.
Right. Like, think about the last time you baked cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you feel a little bit of pride when you looked at that tray of, maybe slightly burnt but delicious cookies?
Totally. And it makes you wonder if maybe in this world that's so focused on instant gratification and getting things already made, if maybe we're missing out on that deeper satisfaction that comes from actually creating something ourselves.
That's such a great point, and it actually makes me think of another really interesting layer to this whole thing. So we know that the IKEA effect is like It's connected to that endowment effect, the idea that we overvalue things just because we own them.
Oh, right, like that chipped coffee mug you just can't throw away. Okay, yeah.
But the IKEA effect is it goes beyond just owning something.
Right. It's more about like, I made this,
Yeah.
so it's mine, and I did it.
Right, and there's a real sense of like ownership and pride in that.
Totally.
And there's actually some research that suggests that we tend to value objects more the more we like touch them,
Okay.
like almost as if we're imbuing them with a part of ourselves, you know?
Uh-huh. But we're touching stuff a lot when we're building it.
Right.
So how does that not apply here?
Well, think back to those experiments with the Legos where people built them and then took them apart.
Okay.
They were handling those pieces a ton, but they didn't overvalue them.
Oh, that's true.
In fact, they valued them less than the ones they had successfully built.
Yeah, good point.
It all goes back to that sense of accomplishment, that feeling of completion.
Right.
It's like the secret sauce, the key ingredient to the whole IKEA effect.
Okay, so it's not just about the effort. It's about seeing it through.
Exactly, and this brings up a really interesting question for, where we are today.
Okay.
If we naturally love what we create because of the effort and that sense of accomplishment, what does that mean in a world where everything's about instant gratification and prepackaged experiences?
Whoa, yeah, that's a big question.
It is.
Are we missing out on something by always taking the easy road?
It's definitely worth thinking about, right? Like, take meal kits versus cooking from scratch or buying furniture that's already put together.
Right.
Are we sacrificing some of that deeper satisfaction, that pride in our abilities by just going for convenience?
And maybe even not fully appreciating the value of what we have. I don't know.
Exactly. And the researchers who did these IKEA Effect studies, they actually talked about some implications for businesses.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they suggest that companies could actually use this whole phenomenon to their advantage.
Okay.
To boost customer engagement and satisfaction.
So instead of fighting against our urge to do things ourselves, companies could actually tap into it.
Right.
That's kind of clever.
It is, but it's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
They have to create tasks or products that are challenging enough to be rewarding, but not so hard that people get frustrated and give up.
Right, like there's a sweet spot.
Exactly.
Too easy and there's no sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
But too hard and we just get discouraged.
Exactly. And this whole idea isn't just about marketing and consumer behavior either.
Yeah.
It also sheds some light on how we think about work and motivation in general.
Okay, tell me more about that. I'm interested.
Well, there have been studies that show that employees are more motivated and more engaged when they're given tasks that, they feel capable of doing.
Right.
Tasks where they can actually see the results of their effort.
Uh,
It taps into that feeling of, I made a difference that we all crave.
It's not just about checking things off a list. It's about really owning your work and feeling good about it.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
It all goes back to that basic human need for competence and control, what psychologists call affectance.
Affectance.
Yeah, completing a task, whether it's building a bookshelf or, contributing to a project at work, it just strengthens that sense of self-efficacy and fuels our drive.
Wow, it's so interesting how this, seemingly simple idea, the IKEA effect, can have such a big impact on how we see ourselves and how we relate to the world around us.
It really is.
It makes you think differently about what we truly value.
It does.
We're so conditioned to focus on money, on what things cost.
Yeah.
But maybe there's another kind of value at play here.
Right.
Something about the effort, the personal connection we make with what we create.
Absolutely. It's like that saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah.
What we create might not be objectively more valuable,
Right.
but it means something special to us.
Because we made it.
Exactly. And that kind of subjective value, that can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It shapes our preferences, our choices, even our sense of fulfillment.
So what can our listeners take away from all of this?
I think it encourages us to look at the things we care about in our lives.
And think about why we value them.
Okay.
Is it just about the money, or is there something more there?
Right.
Do we cherish the things that we've put our time and effort into?
The things we've made ourselves.
The things that have, our fingerprints on them?
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's like we should look for chances to create, to build, to make things with our own hands.
Yeah.
To get that satisfaction that comes from taking an idea and turning it into something real.
Even if the result is a little, rough around the edges.
Right, because in the end, it's not just about the finished product.
Yeah.
It's about the whole experience, the effort, that feeling of I did it, that comes with creating something yourself.
It is. It's about that human drive to make our mark on the world.
I love that.
And who knows, you might even discover a hidden talent for, origami along the way.
Or maybe furniture building.
Maybe.
Okay, there you go.
So next time you're tempted to buy the pre-assembled version of something,
Think about the IKEA effect and ask yourself, would I love this even more if I built it myself?
let us know what you think. It really makes you wonder if, like, that feeling of pride we get when we make something, it's like almost built in.
Right, like a little reward for pushing ourselves.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
this IKEA effect, it's not just about, physical stuff either.
Oh, okay.
It can be ideas, solutions we come up with,
Uh-huh.
even relationships.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like, if we put a lot of effort into, you know, resolving a conflict,
Right,
we value that relationship even more.
exactly. The effort we put in strengthens the bond.
Yeah.
Think about those friendships or partnerships, where you've been through some tough times together.
Yeah.
There's that sense of shared accomplishment, of resilience. It brings you closer.
Like you built something together
Yeah.
longer than before.
Exactly. And this kind of leads to a bigger question.
Okay.
In a world obsessed with speed and efficiency, are we forgetting the value of effort itself?
That's true. Like, we're always hearing about life hacks and shortcuts,
Right.
getting more done in less time,
Right.
but maybe we lose something along the way.
Maybe. Because effort isn't just about the end result.
Yeah.
It's about the growth, the learning, the resilience we build along the way, that sense of agency, realizing we have the power to shape our own lives.
So maybe that's the big takeaway here. The IKEA effect, it's not just some weird psychology thing. It's a reminder that effort, even if it's messy or imperfect, it matters. It shapes who we are and how we see the world.
Absolutely. It's an invitation to embrace the process, to find joy in creation, to recognize the impact of our efforts, not just on the things we make, but on ourselves.
So whether it's a DIY project, a tough problem at work, or just being a good friend, remember the power of the IKEA effect.
Yeah.
Put in the effort, enjoy the journey, and be proud of the mark you leave on the world.
And hey, if that mark happens to be a slightly wobbly bookshelf, even better.
It's exactly. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the IKEA effect. Until next time, keep creating and keep exploring.